Hello everyone. Starting with the title, which seems to be quite ordering, that escape the theme trap. So first of all, I want to cater here that I'm not only talking about any particular business or segment. I'm going to address all the B2B and D2C customers who are having a website. But we all somehow, we wanted to create a website, but we immediately jump on theme. So here, I'm not against the theme, but I wanted to take further that what challenges we are facing through by theme-based websites. So we all struggle with the limitations. I hope we all agree with that. That by selecting the highest paid theme, the costly theme and the most advanced theme, no matter which platform we are building on, whether it is a WordPress or Shopify, there is always a limitation in the customization, right? The next problematic and the challenge is slow performance. So we all know the theme is heavy code and unwanted code loaded, which makes your websites slow in terms of the performance. Compatibility problems. We all wanted to scalable our website. We wanted to grow with the new plugins, but not necessarily the theme which we have selected, they are compatible with all plugins. Moving to the next is scalability, that you can't grow with a theme-based website at times onto adding a new feature. And the most important area, which is a user experience, that all websites are majorly for the user, and if we are not able to cater them, we are not able to provide them the tailored specific requirement for a user or audience, then what is the purpose of the website? So the solution to all these challenges, we all know that there is a custom-based development, and we all know that. But still, I find with my experience being into sales and marketing, that whenever I talk to brands, they are afraid of choosing a custom development. Now, there can be a very generic 3 reasons. One is cost, second is time, and third is skill sets. But there are some technical reasons as well. So not necessary what designer is imagining or creating a design for your website, developer can exactly build that. So in the custom build website, we always find that designs are pretty beautiful, but when it goes to the development hands or the developer hands, the results are something very different. In short, if I use a term in Hindi, generally the custom developers or everyone says that design to fat gaya. So what is the reason? Majorly the collaboration between the design and the development. So designer always come up with the overcomplicated design featuring with a lot of features, interfaces and cluttering the website. Ignoring the accessibility, which is the most important compliance, and they forgot that for which user type and what one particular user section, and they create a very beautiful and uneven colors which are not in a contrast at all. Poor mobile optimization. So whenever designer create a design, they immediately start with a desktop version. But they forget that nearly 70 to 80% traffic nowadays coming from mobile. The last is inconsistency in the design language, random colors, font style, multiple font style, space misalignments, rework issue. Hence, there is a lot of unprofessional outcomes that we receive. Scalability issues, that we don't find the designs that we have created, they are hard for the UI expansion in the future. Now, what is the solution? So we all know these challenges, and I have take you guys through to those, but the solution comes to the next slide. That is traditional methodology that we are working today right now. So in a very scenario based, if I tell you, you're going to an agency and you're saying, I want a beautiful website, this is my branding, and they immediately start working on the wireframes by collecting your requirement. So they gather the requirement, They create UI from the scratch. They go and select your brand books, what kind of fonts, colors and components supposed to be used. Get back to you for the feedback and revise the design, and they immediately pass it on to the developer. And then developer struggles in building the website manually. The last stage, if you can see, that is the inconsistency, and this is the most manual effort and time-taking area. There is a lot of back and forth between design, development and the brand owner. Outcome, inconsistency, lack of standardization, difficult to scale, and a lot of manual effort and time waste. Now I'm talking about on the modern design, modern approach. The modern approach is about we gather the requirement, we create the design system components which goes to the next step in assembling those components as a UI elements. We get back to the brand for the feedback and revised, and then developer follows the design system guidelines. Hence, the final outcome is that we ensure the brand have the consistency. Faster development, predefined UI components, consistency across the designs on the website and the platform, and the important is user experience. Now, the new term that I have added in the modern approach is design system. So what exactly is design system? So it's a very simple, in a very simple language, it's a modular approach. It's basically a set of guidelines, components and standards that ensure the consistency and the design should be there in across the, for the user experience across the platform and the brand. There are the predefined design principles: consistency, scalability, accessibility, simplicity, modularity and performance. This is predefined. These are the three important pillars, by the way. Reusable elements, which gives your brand a strong visibility by picking up the design components on your entire website. Patterns, typographies, colors, icon and tokens. And the third most is documentation. This is basically very important for a team change or the transition if it happens ever. And second, from design to development, when your entire design goes for the development, or any kind of futuristic, you can say futuristic collaterals like sales, marketing and so on. Design guidelines, component library, usage examples, contribution, process, versions and maintenance. How to build an effective design system? These are the important pillars that I am talking about. Typography. Why typography? Usually I have seen and I have noticed that brands are using multiple fonts, but there is a high impact of using a font on your web development. Some fonts are making your website slow, some are not giving a good user experience, some are creating an accessibility too. Color palette, which gives a strong visibility and definitely a brand consistency to your brand. So it's a definition for your brand. Third, we define the predefined elements. So button, form fields, icon, tables, these are the predefined. So you don't find any kind of variations or any kind of misalignment across the platform, digital platforms. And the most important is the grid system. So grid system is basically a consistent space and responsiveness. This helps your, no matter it is a desktop or it is a mobile or a tablet, but this grid system will create a structured layout across all the screens. These are the few examples that a brand, they are using a design system and they have created their own design system, like Google, Material Design System. Apple is using Human Interface Guidelines. Atlassian is Atlassian Design System. They have given their own name. Myntra, similarly Shopify, Polaris, Spotify Encore, Amazon Amplify and Airbnb Design Language System. Now, I wanted to play a game before coming to the final slide, that what is the power of design system, which apart from my all slides, probably this can convince you that what I am talking about. So let's guess the brand. Zomato. Now, have you guys seen the common, that when I'm talking about a design system, I'm not only talking about a website. I'm talking about whether it's a offline marketing, whether it is a social media marketing, or it's their app. They have followed the design system, and it's easy to recall the brand. Indeed, we are using day in, day out, but these brands known to be like their marketing strategy for the best. Why brand needs a design system? Definitely, as I kept repeating, for the consistency. It will give you a unified look, feel across website, app, digital platforms, and strengthen your identity. Scalability, brands can expand themselves into the digital ecosystem. Strong brand recognition by their typography, colors, visual assets, and it increases the brand recall value. For sales, as a faster sale collateral creations, ready-to-use templates are available. Trust and credibility, the professional and polished digital presence builds the trust. And again, the important area is, the most important thing I would say, seamless customer journey. So it's a frictionless experience for your customers. So here I end up. So I would say, if anyone has a question.
Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Then please do raise your hand. We'll bring the mic to you. All right, I think that was a thorough presentation. Thank you so much. I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Anil Kumar Malik, business head at the Hindu Group, to please join us and give a small token of appreciation to our speaker, please.
Hello. Thank you.
Very nice session.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to Ms. Mishra. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move ahead, we'd like to quickly showcase our partner message from Prism X and NDTV. Can we have the audiovisual on screen, please?
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality, accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
Once again, thank you to our partners for partnering with us at the Pitch CMO Summit, Mumbai Edition 2025. I want to just quickly get the energy check from the room. How is everyone doing? Good, okay. You can give me a response. Some of you are clapping. That looks good. Some of you are smiling. That is also a good response. Yeah, all those who are on the phone, I'm sure there is something important waiting for all of us. But thank you for staying with us through the day. We have another very exciting session coming up. Please stay with us a little longer. More information, more insights coming your way. And post to which, we of course welcome you to join us at the Pitch CMO Awards, which are happening today, this evening in the same room. All you have to do is just re-register yourself at the registration desk before the event. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, TV advertising as we knew it, well, it has evolved many folds. Today, TV starts with streaming, and the real magic lies in targeting, engagement, and dynamic ad experiences. As brands rethink their media strategies, Samsung Ads is leading the revolution, blending the power of television with the precision of digital. So let's hear it from Nishit Kanchan, Head of Sales at Samsung Ads, as he takes on a deep dive into the world of connected TV, smarter advertising, and the future of storytelling on screens, big and small. A very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much. All right, can everybody hear me okay? People in the back, can't hear me now? Can't hear? Hello? They can't hear. Now can you hear me? All right, superb. Thank you so much. A very good afternoon to everyone. I know it's just post-lunch, and I think the post-lunch drowsiness would be kicking in and you would want to have a cup of coffee. So we'll keep this session pretty interesting for all of you guys to stay awake during the entire course of this presentation. There's been some great conversations today, right from attention economy to design methodology to AI, Gen AI. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to talk to you about one device which we all love, which is the television. Now, if I ask you, do you remember the last content that you have watched which is truly gripping? Have you watched it on a DTH, on a cable subscription, or were you streaming it on your smart TV? Majority of you would say that it was your smart TV in which you are streaming this content. And that is exactly what I'm going to talk to you about today, since TV starts with streaming and it has changed the entire playbook for advertisers, planners, and brands today. Hi again, I'm Nishit. I'm head of sales for Samsung Ads in India, and I have had the privilege of working at the intersection of media, tech, and advertising. And what it has given me is a complete new perspective into how TV has evolved during the past decade. And that is exactly what I'm going to share with you today. Instead of making this like a sales pitch, I'm going to share some really cool insights from the world of Samsung Ads. The biggest screen in our homes has actually transformed. Now, what do I mean by that? When you look at if you think about your TVs at your homes, and if you think back 10 years, the TV was just a screen which used to play your set-top box content or your linear broadcast content. But today, since the TV has evolved, it has become much more powerful. The TV today understands what kind of content that you want to watch. It understands the user's preferences and behaviors, and it also gives you an opportunity to do much more than just viewing content. Today, you can actually, apart from viewing content, also do shopping on your television. That is something that we didn't think about, in the last 2 to 3 years. At Samsung, what we have realized is that we have seen a 40% growth year on year when it comes to smart TV shipments. In fact, we have seen a trend where consumers today are opting for larger screens. Out of this 40%, 110% growth has come from QLED screens. And it is not just about the size. I understand that bigger is better, especially when it comes to our television screens, but it's not just about size. Consumers today actually want the latest tech, whether it is 4K, whether it is 8K, whether it is QLED, OLED. Consumers today want AI upscaling. Consumers today want to, of course, have access to streamless content on their smart TVs. And if you look at the TV screen today, with the conversions of linear, fast, AVOD, SVOD, and live streaming events, this unit has actually become the hub of entertainment for the entire household. TV continues to be an aspirational device where it gets the entire household together for a very immersive co-viewing experience. A lot of times, in fact, in the last year or two, I've had conversations with a lot of marketeers, and they used to say that, TV is a very tier 1 urban phenomena. But to be honest, at this point in time, it is not exactly the case. Today, TV has started to become mainstream even in the tier 2, tier 3, and rural markets. For us at Samsung, even though Maharashtra and Telangana continue to dominate the active TV user base, 20 to 30% of our active TV users reside in the smaller towns in the country. And this is a very interesting data that I wanted to walk you through. Households today are actually moving away from linear TV consumption. And why do I say this? Basis our own proprietary data tech, which is called as ACR, which is automatic content recognition, and I'll talk a little bit more on ACR in the slides ahead. But what we have seen is that majority of the TV purchase happens during the festive season. And if you look at the graph, once a user purchases a new television, they do not watch any kind of linear content. All the content viewership happens on streaming, which means that people are actually moving from linear to streaming environments. And these are the consumers or the users who we call as cord cutters or cord nevers. Over the past year, we have seen almost a 28% increase when it comes to the entire cord cutting audience across Samsung TV households. This brings us to a brand new era of Indian television viewership, where the viewership today actually starts with streaming. Another very interesting insight, across our Samsung TV households, which is an average user, has about 5 apps on his television. Out of these, 3 apps are AVOD apps and about 2 apps are SVOD apps. 99% of the streaming is spent within the top 10 apps on the television. In fact, a user spends roughly about 40 hours in a month on his television, and out of these, 36 hours is actually spent watching streaming content, and just 4 hours in the month is spent watching linear content. And these are all deterministic data points which is coming directly to you from our ACR tech across our 13 million devices. If I have to go a little bit deeper into the streaming ecosystem, if I put the entire pie where we consider the total hours spent on a television, 90% of the total viewing hours is spent on streaming and just 10% is spent on watching linear. In fact, the streaming today has given rise to a lot of new phenomena which is also called, apart from AVOD and SVOD, called as FAST. And for the uninitiated, FAST actually stands for Free Ad-Supported Streaming Television. When we talk about TV, we also talk about something which is called as national prime time. And it was the most coveted, most sought after time duration inventory in the entire TV. What you see here on the graph is that 97% of the users actually stream content during the national prime time, and just 3% actually look or view linear content. And if you look at the linear graph, which averages at about 10% throughout the day, during the national prime time, the linear viewership actually declines to about 3%. But does this mean that these users are actually nowhere to be found for an advertiser? No, it's not the case. Even though these users are streaming, they have not migrated completely onto an ad-free ecosystem, but these users are actually on ad-supported ecosystems. Like I mentioned, whether it is SVOD, whether it is AVOD, or whether it is FAST. Over the years, we have seen a humongous 27% growth on our active TV user base. And out of this growth, we have seen a steady growth when it comes to AVOD, FAST, and SVOD. In fact, you might argue that, there are a lot of players today talking about SVOD content and AVOD content, but India being India, which is a price-sensitive market, and because of the economic patterns that we see in the country, there has been a higher percentage adoption and rise when it comes to AVOD and FAST inventory when you compare it to something like an SVOD. Samsung TV Plus is Samsung's own FAST service. As I mentioned, it is a free ad-supported streaming television. Across, in fact, even in 2024, there were about 7.4 million users actually tuning into Samsung TV Plus, which is our FAST service. And this makes Samsung TV Plus the #2 viewed app across all other apps on our television, and the #1 FAST app across the country. If you dive a little bit deeper into what a user looks like who's consuming FAST content, 86% of the total AVOD users are actually consuming FAST content. So FAST is on the rise in India today. And we have seen a higher adoption when it comes to FAST. out of all the people who tune into the fast service that we provide, 73% of the households who adopt fast remain consistent. What does this mean for an advertiser like you? This means that using our fast service, you can actually build a plan which gives you consistency and reliability and reach these high value audiences across the Samsung ecosystem. With Samsung TV Plus, we have built an app which gives the user what they want and how they want it, which is great content. Apart from that, we also give the advertisers what they want, which is reaching these high value audiences across tier 1 and tier 2 cities. With Samsung TV Plus, you can actually connect to your audiences across these various components in India when it comes to geo dispersion and target them on either a 10-second or a 20-second or even up to a 60-second ad using Samsung TV Plus. In fact, one of the most powerful use cases that we have experienced and we have worked with advertisers is on incremental reach, wherein we give incremental reach for an advertiser over and above his TV spends when it comes to the fast service. So, using all of this data, how exactly does Samsung help its advertisers in this new TV landscape? Samsung today is number 1 globally, and in India we have about 13 million devices, which is the biggest reach that we have across the country, and we have a captive base of about 55 to 60 million users logged into our televisions. How is all of this possible? So, as I mentioned, the entire brain behind our TVs comes from the technology which is called as ACR, which is automatic content recognition. And think of this data as our secret sauce. And using this data, it's not just about what a user views. It is much more than that. It is about what kind of preferences does he have, what is that which actually matters to this particular consumer, and where does he plan to spend his money. So how does ACR actually work? So every half a second, there is a screenshot which is taken of your television screen, which gets matched against our content library, and then it throws out certain cohorts which can be used for specific precise targeting for our advertisers. You can reach the audiences using this ACR tech across our home screen or our TV Plus inventory. In fact, you can dive a little bit deeper in understanding what is the viewership insights, what is the kind of exposure level insights that you get from our ACR tech. And all of this done, most importantly, all of this is done in a privacy compliant way, as privacy is the number 1 priority for us, for our consumers. So, every advertiser today is leveraging the power of the big screen. And before I get into how some of our partners have leveraged this, let me also show you an interesting insight. We have seen almost a 23% hike on single day viewership when it comes to tentpole events, especially cricket, because these are the events and it is the most sought after coveted inventory which gets especially the matches which gets our adrenaline soaring super high. Here is an example of how Mercedes-Benz used and took over the entire Samsung home screen during the ICC finals, and using this inventory, they've actually been able to reach out to about 3.4 million devices in one single day and about 24 million household impressions. Here's another example of how Rado run a mesmerizing creatives across our Samsung TV home screens, where they have also been able to reach about 3.3 million devices and household impression of about 25 million. In both these instances, if you notice, we've been able to reach more than about 1.2 crore people in India in a single day. So that, my friends, is the power of the big screen. Also, when you invest with Samsung ads, you can be confident that we'll be giving you the exact same high value audiences which actually matters for your brand, and you'll be able to drive smarter and better outcomes for your brand using this particular strategy. So now you would ask me that, okay, data is great, Inventory is great. We all know that streaming is on the rise. What about measurability? And we have got you covered when it comes to measurability. You get the normal Jing Bang, which is the impression, reach, video, click, CTR, which is your normal campaign metrics. We can also dive deeper into advanced reporting, as I was talking to you about a little bit earlier about incremental reach. So when it comes to incremental reach, you can actually find and understand the exposure of your linear campaigns across the 13 million Samsung TVs that you have. And we have also tied up with Kantar for BLS studies. Here is an example of how British Airways actually got double-digit results, deltas across brand metrics, like whether it is aided awareness, brand favorability, or purchase intent. Here's again another example of how Garnier leveraged brand lift studies with Samsung, wherein they got phenomenal results across brand KPIs. So, if I have to sum it up, to help you win with Samsung ads, you can actually reach the audiences which actually matter. We have got the data and insights that help you make the best decisions for your campaigns, and we have proven solutions that gets results that you need. So having said that, I'm going to wrap up here. We would love to share more such insights. We are just around the corner, right outside the registration, near the registration bay. So if you have any questions, please come up to us and we'll be happy to share those insights. Thank you. You have been a great audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please stay with me a moment longer as I invite on stage Mr. Satish Mendin, National Sales Head, Events and Magazines at the Hindu Group, to give a small token of appreciation to Nishit.
Hi. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mendin and Mr. Kanchan. Ladies and gentlemen, as the stage gets set up for our next session for the day, we would first like to give a small video message from our partner, The Hindu. Can we have the audio-visual, please? From the console, can we play the audio-visual?